Well, another busy day. I took care of that customer I spoke of yesterday with the data that almost was lost on a drive, and in fact, the drive is probably failing. And I got a lot of the data off of it, but I told her not to assume it was all transferred. But anyway, that's beside the point. Frankly, she's a more savvy user. I should have just taken the drive and installed the broken external drive in her desktop computer, which she had me fix the prior visit. The problem wasn't the drive, but the connector. So the enclosure, which is 10% of failures I've experienced, is taken care of. Frankly, I took the initiative transferring her data through using my desktop computer so that she could have her data on another USB drive for her to move around and manage. So anyway, that's actually not what got me all flustered today or yesterday. First of all, I didn't realize BitLocker was turned on my desktop. One of the reasons I use my own custom version of Windows, not really highly hacked or anything. I just used Rufus to modify the ISO so that it doesn't default a Microsoft requirement of a login account and BitLocker. So I just assumed BitLocker was turned off on my desktop. So in using my desktop, what do you think happened? My customer's hard drive got BitLocked. Do you know how long it takes to unencrypt 4 terabytes of data? So anyway, this customer had to wait 2 or 3 days for me to finally realize I should have just taken that hard drive and put it in her computer, but I didn't have her computer in my possession. She didn't tell me until after that computer was fixed that, oh, by the way, I have this hard drive that's not giving me data. I finally said, just bring me that computer. I'll physically install it. So that's ultimately what I should have done. And I'm always stuck in my head. I only charged her for that amount of labor. And she was more than willing to pay me for the amount of time it took to manage this whole job. But those are the things that float around in my head. How much am I supposed to charge for an unknown state of data transfer? I don't even know if my data transfer is complete. I felt a little weird and guilty about taking extra money. I understand time is money, and I got a lot of the data over. Fundamentally, I should have just, and all I needed to do, especially since this customer's savvy, is physically move it over. In fact, I told her about one of the frustrations of moving any amount of data is that you get stupid permission errors. Do you want to take all the properties with this file? Because they're not able to transport. And she nodded and understood that's what was part of the game. Microsoft just does not make data transfer easy. I ultimately suggested that cloning a drive is also an option in the future, but not to clone a failing drive. So cloning a drive is faster, and we had that conversation. But I only thought to have this conversation here with you because I was hoping for feedback on how to deal with things beyond my control. Like when BitLocker causes me to spend exorbitant amounts of time to disengage the customer's drive. Now, frankly, I should have checked my own desktop to make sure it wasn't on with BitLocker, but I ultimately installed that version of Windows with my modified version, which is why I didn't think to look at it. So I also felt that was partially my fault because she had to wait a couple days, and then I finally realized all I needed to do was move that drive over because she had plenty of skill to move her own data over. So that's where my mind is. Otherwise, my other job earlier today was email migration. Oh my goodness. So a customer called me earlier and told me her email would send but not receive. So I'm thinking her inbox was full. No, she's using well, I guess they call it, what they used to call it Google Apps, Google, whatever. I'm actually using it. Back when I started using it, it was called Google Apps. But G Suite, that's what they call it. Yes, G Suite. So anyway, G Suite / Google, they don't have phone support. So if an email doesn't work and a technical setting isn't incorrect, at least as I look at it, since I'm savvy enough to know that server information should be good, the first thing that I'm going to look at is how big your inbox is. And she's got a 25 terabyte box to work with. So that wasn't the problem. So rather than spin my wheels, I decided, let's just go to GoDaddy. Their transport team, their email migration team is excellent. And I thought, because I'd had success with this before, at least a couple times. So I basically spent 3 hours on the phone with tech support, and GoDaddy held my hand, told me exactly what to click. It's like 20 to 30 minutes of clicking around and activating project buttons and my permissions and all sorts of archaic, weird, non-intuitive places. And it just makes me want to throw something. It's just stupid. I don't know why Google does that. Fundamentally, we got stuff done, and I have to go back tomorrow and confirm everything is good. So now when they log into their mail, it'll be through the GoDaddy website, webmail, with a Microsoft interface. So anyway, my philosophy is if you're not going to give us a phone support, then you don't get the business. So I'm going to tell the customer, get out of Google, go to GoDaddy. It's nice to know a big, huge company like GoDaddy is willing to give phone support. I've got a few companies I think of all the time about how good their phone support is, despite their size. AAA, I've called them, their phone support is good. T-Mobile is another one that is good. Phone support I'm talking about, not technical support per se, but the fact is you can get a human on the phone, they speak English without a very heavy accent, and you get stuff done. You can't just take a phone call and assume a chat or AI or a phone tree is going to fix it. Anyway, there's my rant for the day. Have a great night.